1. Recently, I had to have my bowling shoes repaired. Got some pretty good ones for free, but they had sat in storage for a long time, so the glue in them had degraded, and the shoes came apart while I was taking them off after the first use. I took them to the only shoe repair shop that I knew of, which was a bit out of my way, and it cost more than the shoes were worth to repair them, but the repair was guaranteed for 10 years. And the guy cut me a discount. Still cost me $64 for both shoes. But when I talked to anyone who knew anything about the general cost of shoe repair, that was actually a pretty good price. When I went to pick up the shoes yesterday, I talked with the shop owner about the shoe repair that had gone out of business in my local area, and he knew a fair bit about it, and said that the guy's work was shoddy and had a lot of complaints. Then I remembered a time I walked into that guy's shop over 15 years ago. I asked him about what kind of glue the guy used for his repairs, and he showed me, and the glue, I kid you not, was from the dollar store, and is still sold there to this day. It's just a cheap generic flexible cement glue. It's not bad, but not great either. And when I told the guy who fixed my shoes about it, he was mortified that the other shoe repair guy would use such cheap glue and call it a quality repair. And it's no wonder he had so many complaints. Then we both had a laugh over how that guy didn't know anything about what he was doing. And I ended up telling the shop owner about a somewhat similar experience I had with my car and a flat tire repair. I got a flat tire and had to go get it patched. Went to a local place that had it done in an hour, $18 fixed and mounted. But then after coming out of a store later, I noticed the tire looked low. So I went back to the tire repair, and what looked like a 19-year-old guy with blonde, scraggly hair came out to inspect it. And he claimed the tire only looked low, and then went out of his way to point out he didn't recognize the brand, and then spoke some more nonsense. And I was dumb enough to take his word for it. Well, days later my tire was flat again, and that time the tire was not salvageable, and I had to buy a new tire. The shop that repaired the previous tire the first time I went back to complain about the tire being bad, and the guy who I was dumb enough to listen to, and the first words out of their mouths were, "Well, we fired that idiot. He had a long list of complaints for bad flat repairs." Sadly, I still go back to where I originally bought tires and had to buy a new one. I was dumb enough not to get the warranty when I bought tires for that car. Never made that mistake again. The guy at the shoe repair shop was quite amused by that story, and we both agreed that if you work in any kind of repair industry, then do your work right, or don't work there at all. When I asked the shoe repair guy if the problem I had was common with bowling shoes, he told me it was very common, and he would make them stronger than new. And if you ever go buy bowling shoes in store, only certain shops carry them, and the store price on the good ones can be ridiculous. And if you buy a cheap pair online, it's a risk you can't test them beforehand, and you're better off buying name brand. My best friend bought generic bowling shoes online for $40, and they were so bad that they ruined his game, and were wearing out bad after one day. Even the guy in the pro shop told him they were no good, and to buy better ones unless he wanted to pay a shoe repair to graft leather onto them. I found him a used pair of excellent bowling shoes used locally that were originally $120 new, and we picked them up for $20. He did much better with those shoes the following week. My bowling shoes were around $50 new a decade ago, and possibly double that in store. So me paying $64 to fix name-brand bowling shoes I got for free isn't so bad. I have big feet too, so I have to wear size 13, and getting bowling shoes in that size locally is even harder. 2. On the afternoon of Thursday, June 13th, exact time unknown, a windstorm shook the trees around the house. Causing a power surge to affect appliances. It blew a dozen light bulbs, the main circuit boards in the oven, and the fridge. Not cool, man. It fried the power brick of the Wi-Fi router and fried my mother's monochrome laser printer. I started researching new printers, and after a few days we settled on a $500 printer. It had the features she wanted: a color laser printer with auto document feeder, duplex scanning, and printing. On Friday, June 28th, at about 12:30 a.m., the printer was ordered. At 12:52 a.m., I received an email from Paperclips confirming the order.
Hi, we received the order and are processing it now. We'll send you another email when your item is ready for pickup. Thank you for your ongoing business. We can't wait to see you again. Your Paperclips team.
At 9:02 a.m. the same day while at work, I received another email from Paperclips.
Hi, your order is ready for pickup at the Paperclips store listed below. Click the I'm on my way button to let our team know you're on your way. They'll have your order ready at the online pickup counter when you arrive. Thank you for shopping with Paperclips. We can't wait to see you soon. Your Paperclips team.
After work at 5:05 p.m., I clicked the I'm on my way button and drove a few miles to Paperclips. I walked in, browsed the electronics section for a few minutes, and headed towards the print and photo counter. The other counter was not labeled or manned. I told them I needed to pick up a printer. I told them the names of the order. They directed me to the other counter, and a couple of workers brought out the printer in a box and gave me the receipt. I thought it was a little odd that the receipt was printed on unused perforated label paper, but no matter. I managed to fit the large box into my car and went for a quick shopping trip. After I grabbed a few ingredients from Sealing Mart, I drove home. I brought the printer inside the house and showed it to my mother. It was brought into the living room, unboxed and set up, and that was that. Until 2 days later. Sunday, June 30th, 9:02 a.m.
Hi, your order is ready for pickup at the City Paperclips store and will be held until Wednesday, 7/03/2024. Click the I'm on my way button to let our team know that you're on your way. They'll have your order ready at the online pickup counter when you arrive. We look forward to seeing you soon. Your Paperclips team.
Another email. I already picked up the printer. Did they forget to put the pickup in the system? Is this an automated email that wasn't turned off? I wondered and mentioned it to my father. He wasn't sure either. I had to wonder for almost a week before I got another rather confusing answer. Friday, July 5th, 3:02 a.m.
Hi, we're sorry you were unable to pick up your items. This portion of your order has been canceled. We've dropped the pending charge and notified your bank to release the funds. Pending charges usually drop off within 1 to 3 days. If you have additional questions regarding your pending charge, please contact your bank. We can't wait to see you again. Your Paperclips team.
They canceled the order. But we have the printer. What is going on? I asked my mother, and she confirmed that the money was still in her account. She was never charged for the printer. Unsure what to do, we waited over the weekend to see if anything happened. Sunday, 7th of July, it was decided that I should talk to Paperclips after work the next day. I got a picture of the receipt and had the emails ready. Monday, July 8th, 4:49 p.m., I headed to Paperclips after work. I headed to the same print counter, and after a short wait behind a few other customers, I was able to talk to someone. I said that I needed to talk to someone about a printer I picked up. The worker asked if there was a problem with it. I said not exactly, but that it is kind of strange. I explained that I had picked up the printer, but continued to get emails about it, including one that said Paperclips was no longer holding the printer. He walked me over to the other counter, started typing on a computer, and asked for the name on the order. Another worker followed and watched. He asked for the order number. I showed him the picture of the receipt. After some more typing, he explained that it was not marked as picked up in the system. It had been marked as abandoned after the time it was kept at the store for pickup. Now that it was marked as abandoned, it is no longer in their system, so we would not be charged for it. The other employee agreed and said that it was luck of the system. I thanked them very much and left. Back in the car, I headed to my cousin's house to pick up my little brother, and I called my father to report. He and my mother were waiting, and she was surprised that we got the printer for free. Sweet. She was expecting to be charged for the printer then. I explained about how the printer is no longer in their system. My dad said that maybe we should buy toner from Paperclips for a while to help make up for it. Mom jokingly asked if I wanted to try this again, pretending to pick things up and get them for free. I said that once was enough. I've had my fill of a life of crime. 3. Years ago, I used to work in retail at a massive retail chain store. I had recently been promoted to garden center from the back room when this tale took place about 15 years ago. But first, let me explain the layout of our store, which will come into play. From the main entrance, if you make a right, you'll pass the health and beauty section on your right along with the pharmacy. On your left, there's a shelf or two of household stuff, microwaves and such, followed by a cross alley which leads toward the back of the store. Passing that alley, the hardware section is on your left, all leading to the garden center. The older gentleman, about mid to late 50s, spotted me walking in from the outdoor patio section of our garden center and practically started running in my direction to get my attention. I spot him from health and beauty, so I assume he's coming towards me, rightly so, and stop, so he doesn't have to run the entire way to me. When he finally does get to me, he seemed out of breath. Again, he ran 80 to 90 yards to get to me. I get it, but he didn't have to run. He had my attention already. I gave him a moment to catch his breath, and then he started with what he was desperately trying to flag me down for.
Hi, my wife sent me into my light bulbs. Can you help me?
Sure I can. What kind of light bulbs do you need?
There's more than one kind?
The man asked, his eyes wide. Yes, there's a generic household bulb, your bathroom bulb, the bulbs that go into overhead lighting, and some other specialty bulbs. There's also LED and incandescent options. I responded. We had then moved from the garden center entrance to the hardware aisle, with my back to a display that ran the entire length of the shelf, full of the generic household bulbs in both LED and incandescent options.
Well, she said it was for her table lamp. So just a generic household bulb would work?
He replied, looking right at me, and in essence looking at this sheer wall of bulbs. Well, if you're just doing something household, might I suggest these? I suggest grabbing a set of 4 60-watt but LED. Apparently it had finally dawned on him what aisle he was on, and more importantly, what was right behind me.
Oh, I didn't see these,
he said, grabbing the box from my hand but not quite leaving the section, as if he was too stunned by our sheer volume of bulb boxes. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, this is fine.
I'll holler if I need anything, he said, still staring at the wall of bulbs before him. Okay, have a nice day, I finish. Then head back to my section. I observed this guy picking up one box, put it back, pick up the same one I handed him, read it over, and put it back. He does this for practically 30 minutes before grabbing the one I gave him and heading to the front, having finally seen the light. 4. Nowadays we have plenty of choices for tech products. Most of the time, lots of us didn't even bother with the major chain retail stores, but sometimes they have decent clearance sales that make you interact with some staff, and you can't help but wonder how it was possible that they got hired.
They're young and work for minimum wage.
This happened at a fairly well-known, decently sized tech retail store. Every now and then, they have some very solid deals that are unbelievably good compared to what the other stores are offering. However, my experience with this order pickup was horrendous. I ordered a Razer Kishi V2 for Android Online. For context, it's essentially a game controller that plugs directly into your phone's charge and data port. Not meant to be wireless. This comes up later, which the website told me confirmed was in stock at that location. When I arrived for pickup, the staff retrieved my order and I signed for it. However, upon closer inspection, it turned out they had set aside a Razer Kishi V2 for iPhone. I asked another member of staff about this and showed them that my order was for an Android-compatible variant, and asked if they might have gotten them mixed up. The staff looked confused and tried to tell me that it would be compatible with my Android phone, no problem. What? Peripherals have different variants for a reason? This much should be basic knowledge for anyone working at a tech retail store. I knew this to be untrue, so I pointed out that the packaging on the one they had set aside for my order clearly states for iPhone, and that it would be redundant if it were compatible with both platforms. Then they tried to tell me that since it worked over Bluetooth, it would not matter. Okay, sure. Maybe the staff was just confused about what product it was that I was picking up, so I corrected them and stated that it connects via a hardwired connection via USB-C, hence why it would matter. They then tried to tell me that it should be USB-C standard, even for iPhone. Sure, if this were exclusively for iPhone 15, I guess, but it's not. And that we can open it up to confirm. Knowing how this was going to end, I agreed. We opened it up and, surprise! It was not a USB-C connection, but a Lightning connector. Seemingly stumped, the staff called another team member over to ask about it, and I asked if they could check the online orders, or even their shelves, to see if they could find the Android variant one. The first staff went to check, while the one they called over checked my order in the system. Apparently, whoever okayed my order for pickup couldn't or didn't know the difference between Android and iPhone connections. And when they should have marked my order as NA, not available, because they didn't have the Android version, they went ahead and slapped the iPhone one on my order and approved it anyways. When I asked how this could be, they just shrugged and pointed at a name on the order summary and said, "They made a mistake." No sorry, no apology, and an attitude that very clearly said, "This is not my mistake, so not my problem." The staff that went to the back returned and said they didn't have the item, so all they could do was refund me. No offer to check availability elsewhere. At this point I was very disappointed, so I just processed the refund and left. So I work part-time at a Goodwill while doing school full-time. I don't mind the job, it's easy enough, and my co-workers and my bosses are really nice. But holy crap, some of the people that come in here are wild. They will get mad at me for the dumbest things. And it's always the old ladies that think they own this store or something. I was cleaning up this huge mess people made with clothes, because people just throw stuff on the ground and don't put things back, and since it was busy that day, it was really messy. And in walks this little old lady, walking to where I'm working. I move out of her way slightly, thinking she was going to look at the clothes I was fixing. She very quickly goes and looks through the clothes. Honestly, too fast to really be looking in my opinion, but whatever. And she moves down to where I'm at and rudely just yells, "Excuse me!" wanting me to move. So I just mumble a quick, "Sorry," before moving to the opposite side of the clothing rack to fix up things there, because the whole area was a mess. This wasn't good enough for her, though, and she turned around and started yelling at me about how rude I was and how everyone in this store needs to be retrained. She goes on and on about how she owns some fancy clothing store, well, sod off there then, and her store would never treat customers like this. I'm just kinda looking at her like she's crazy 'cause I moved. What else does she want from me? She then tells me she's going to be looking up and down this aisle and says her workers would never stand in the customer's way, and I realize she wanted me to leave the whole aisle. Just so she could look up and down the whole aisle without me there, I guess. Like, first of all, lady, this is Goodwill. Try practicing some. Not a high-end clothing store. Of course, you aren't going to get the same level of treatment. But anyway, I just kinda look at her and don't say anything else, 'cause I don't want to apologize for whatever BS she's going on about, but can't really be rude either, so just turn away and start to leave to work on cleaning a different area. She just keeps yelling at me and saying she's going to tell a manager how rude I was and get me fired. I'm like, alright, whatever, in my head, and go work on another section until she leaves. One of my managers was actually nearby, and she ended up complaining to him about the whole thing. I didn't hear what they said because I was elsewhere, but he later came up to me and said that the lady was just really rude even to him, and I didn't do anything wrong, and he told me he would escort her out of the store if she kept going. That manager knows I'm real quiet and probably wouldn't be rude to a bug, so was kinda shocked this lady thought I was rude for just doing my job. Then we always get those impatient people who try to pay as I'm still ringing up their items, and when I tell them the total and tell them to pay, they sit there and yell at me for saying I'm trying to double charge them. Like, bruh, no, you tried to pay before I was even done. The machine won't read the card and just gives me an error on my side if the card is put in too early before I enter a button to allow them to pay. This happens so much because people just want to pay right away and leave, not realizing we have to actually enter something on our screen to get their side to take the card. So if you guys just wait more than 5 seconds, we wouldn't have this issue, but alright. Not every old person is rude who comes in. I get a good handful who are really nice and just lonely old people who want to chat, which I never mind. And I'm good at talking to people, even though I'm quiet. I'm just more of a listener. Some people, though, they be wild. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 224. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you'd be so good. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. And if you were especially entertained by this video, you could leave a tip by clicking on the heart with the $sign underneath. But that is not required, although it is very much appreciated. Okay, no more bits and bobs today, I don't think, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is painting. Now, personally, I hate painting. Not the artistic kind, the decorating kind. But I'm going to be painting the walls of this office soon. I've settled on green. I'm just going to do the whole walls green. I just need to find a shade that I'm satisfied with first. So the next time you decorate, have you picked out a color? And what color is that going to be the next time you decide to freshen things up? And when is it going to be? For me, I'm thinking definitely the summer would be a good time for it, because it's really cold right now, and I don't really fancy having to decorate while it's cold. Not that it really matters, I suppose. But we'll see. The urge might take me, and I might just go ahead and buy the paint. I've got money earmarked for a camera, but that might just get redacted and use it for the paint beforehand. We'll see. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And this one came from Fast Food and Retail 163, and it was have award ceremonies like the Oscars, Grammys, and other things. Have they passed their usefulness these days? Is there really any kind of a value to them? Let's see. And today's answer comes from Regina Heinemann. Award ceremonies have no use, just a way for them to pat themselves on the back and promote friends and business contacts. That's probably accurate, Regina. Thank you so much for your answer. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now because it is just past 6 a.m. and I am a sleepy freezer. So until next time, thank you very much for listening and take very good care of yourselves.